I love collecting Flesh and Blood cards, man. It's a huge passion of mine. I just love looking at the cards. I love buying them. I love putting different sets and collections together and really enjoying it. But every now and then I sit back and I'm like, whoa, wait. I'm so consumed in looking at the prices and looking at different stuff in Flesh and Blood that I turn my back and I'm like, oh wow, I have a really cool collection. Why don't I look at it? And I wanted to share with you today my collection and just a little piece of different stuff I have and just different collection ideas, man. Because I feel like a lot of people are coming into Flesh and Blood and they're like, yo, there's so many products. What do I put my money into? And that's why the market stuff is really big for Flesh and Blood because people are like, hey, what do I buy? What's hot? What's not? And, what's the big deal here? So I don't think I have the big deal stuff. I'm an odd type of collector. I tend to focus on more of the sleepers, the underdogs, the things that aren't really performing or people don't really think that they're anything, but then they, are actually really important in the long run. I could be wrong. And just to preface this whole thing, this is not investment advice. I am a big collector of this game. I'm not in it for the money. Please seek some financial guru out there for investment advice. I'm not it. But yeah, let's go over my collection, man. I'm just gonna show you a couple different things that I have and just go through this slowly and enjoy this, man. Because a lot of times, man, we have all these cards around us, but we don't enjoy them, and it's such a that's a rant for another day, man. But it's just a shame that sometimes I fall into this, and I have to push myself back and be like, yo, man, Bronson, look at what you got. Be happy with what you got, and just enjoy what you have, and not keep it sealed away. Because I keep a lot of my collection in this box right here. I got it from Rudy from Alpha Investments from his Crucible War uh, thing. The the patron whatever thing you pay a lot of money to get a nice amount of Flesh and Blood cards and stuff. So I did that and I got this box. So I put all my like expensive stuff in here. Well, not all of it, but good portion of what I'm collecting now. I have other stuff that I'm like done with and put in storage. But yeah, I'm just gonna open this up really and just explain the different stuff that is on my mind, stuff that I'm collecting. So let's start out really basic, man. Let's go out really basic. So the first thing I have about six of these Ira decks. I got it from various sources. A while ago they were like 20 bucks each. I purchased a couple. I got some from a couple orders. But something that I heard recently, and this was from Jordan from Flesh and Blones, he said apparently if you have this hard case, I don't know what type of case this is, but I got this case from buying other cards. And I was like, oh, that's what Jordan's talking about. This case holds an IRA 2018 welcome deck perfectly. This is like awesome. And when I heard about this case, I was like, oh, this is awesome. So I got one of my IRA decks and I put it in there. And it's just a really nice case to hold and just have on the side. But if you're a collector, I'd really recommend this thing. Jordan from Flesh and Bones, really big shout out to him. I know Ben Trading Card was also talking about this. He's another YouTube content creator, and I honestly I don't know why these are so cheap. They spiked up to $200 to $300 for a while when Rudy talked about it for one of his videos, which was hilarious to me. But yeah, I mean it's the first cards that were ever printed. I really do like this type of product and having it in a sealed case. Now the next thing I want to show you is a little bit is this, but it's a little bit different. So a while back, I purchased two Ira welcome decks that were opened. So I have I have purple and red. And initially, it was funny. I was like, oh man, the Ira decks aren't sealed. Oh man, I don't know if I want to buy this. And I was like, oh, I'll just buy it. And I bought them for a reasonable price. And after I had them for a little bit, I was like, wait a minute, this is amazing. Not only do I have the Ira decks and I have all the cards, but I can actually play with anyone who comes over to my house and wants to play. They're like, hey, here's your Ira deck, here's my Ira deck, let's play an Ira match. And I don't know if you guys know this, but back in the day in 2019 or whatever, Ira decks were the thing. That was the only thing that was out there in the realm of possibility for Flesh and Blood. Like they gave out these Ira decks for you people to play, and that was the only cards that were available at the time. And I learned this from a really good buddy of mine, Yazi. I talked to him on my Drinking with Bronson. Really great guy. He has a really cool YouTube channel. He's a really cool guy. But Yeah, he was saying that he was around when these were the only things in Flesh and Blood, which is crazy, man. And that's a big piece of history, and it's cool not only to own the piece of history, but it's cool to play with the piece of history. And I can play an IRA match just like it was back in the day. And what's cool about this too is the IRA cards are very cheap. I mean, you don't even have to buy the 2018 versions. You can buy like the really cheap versions of the cards and probably make this for around like 15 bucks if you wanted to. But if you're like me and you're like a collector, you want the 2018 versions and you want two open decks. I think this is a really cool piece of history for Flesh and Blood, and it's really cool to have as a collector because not only can you collect it, but you can play the game, and I don't know, it's just cool. And another thing about the IRA welcome decks is it's an evenly matched game. All the cards in here are the same for each deck. So if someone loses, it's like you lost because you didn't play right, or maybe you went first or second. Who knows? But the biggest conclusion is you probably lost because the other person played better than you. So that's another thing I like about them. I like the fairness and the equality. So, other than the Ira stuff, I want to go into more of me, and one big thing I've been doing is the tomes. And I know a lot of people don't talk about this. Not a lot of people are doing this, I think, but I like first edition tomes. And I know you're like, Bronson, you're crazy, man. I know, I'm very crazy. So, basically, if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you go to FabDB or any website that has all the card listings for Flesh and Blood, and you search for Tome, and you collect all the cards that have Tome in the name, that's what I like. And it's really cool because it's like, Tome of Fandel, Tome of the Arknight, Tome of Aetherwind, Garganian Tome, Tome of Torment, Tome of Divinity. It's cool. And I have like one of each tome, and they're all first edition. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I am kind of disappointed. I do want a rainbow foil version of each one of these cards. I thought that would be really cool, but there's no way I'm gonna shell out like a ton of money for the Tome of Fandel rainbow foil. I'm very happy for the collection I have. I'm just gonna say it flat out. But that is something I would have liked, and that is an idea if you're a big whale out there and you have a lot of money and yeah, maybe because. If they printed like one or two tomes in every set of Flesh and Blood so far, they're probably going to do it for the foreseeable future. So if they do it for the foreseeable future, even though I have 7 cards right now, in like 8 years, I'm going to have like a stack like this of just tomes. I'm going to be like a freaking, this is going to be a library here. And I mean, that's another thing you could, collect with the set. Collect the library and all the first edition tomes. That sounds really cool. But ultimately, man, just really happy, just really happy with this type of collection. And the thing about this collection is it's not like you could play any deck with all these cards. It's just fun to see, and it would be cool maybe one day to have it all in a binder if there are that many cards. But until now, I just like to have them in these top loaders. It's really cool to look, and it's just this is a type of collection that people aren't going to tell you about. Like people are just gonna collect and they have to think for themselves to make this type of collection. It's not something that is mainstream, and that's why I like it. It's special, it's kind of cool that way. So yeah, let's move on for different things. Okay, another thing is the Bravo misprint card, and I know my camera doesn't really show stuff really good, but do you see how that is misprinted a ton? Yeah, so I really like the backstory to this, and I don't have too many of these cards. I don't know what they're really selling for. I don't really try to get too many of them now, but I have a good amount. I think I have like 8 of these cards, which is kind of cool. But the cool lore thing about these is this card, Bravo Showstopper. It has the Dorinthia Dawnblade on the back, right? It's that variant in Unlimited Welcome to Wrath. It was only an Unlimited Welcome to Wrath. But what the weird thing is about this card, man, is they fixed the issue in the Unlimited Welcome to Wrath print run. I don't know at what point. I don't know how many these are, and that's the big question. And because it's a token, there could be thousands of thousands of thousands, and it's unlimited, so there could be. Or they could have fixed the printing issue earlier on. Like maybe they printed, I don't know, 5,000 boxes, and they and they looked at all the cards just to see if everything was okay, and they're like, "Ooh, woof!" Like, what happened here? So you don't know what happened, and that's the thing is a collector is what I was saying earlier. it's all about, for me, finding the underdogs and finding the stuff that is cheap. And sometimes you can pick these up for like $3 or $4. It just depends, and they don't really sell much on eBay. So it's really hard to tell what these are worth. But I really like the Bravo misprint card. I think it's a really cool thing to collect, and it's definitely something. If you're getting into Flesh and Blood now, I mean, it's perfect because like you can definitely find these in different people's collections they don't even know about. They're like, oh, I open unlimited, and I don't know, what these cards are. They're all just bulk tokens. You could probably find these in bulk collections. People are selling bulk, and you have a bunch of these tokens in there. But just be careful though, is that they did fix this error. So right now, if you got a Welcome to Wrath Unlimited booster box, it was hot off the press, this issue would not be there. So that is the thing that's really piqued my interest actually recently because I didn't think that. I thought that it was an error and they never fixed it for Welcome to Wrath Unlimited, but they did. So, and yeah, that also begs the questions for other cards like Drone of Brutality and Drone of Brutality Blue, but mainly Drone of Brutality. Like, did they stop printing those in 2021 or 2020? No one knows. So that's the cool thing about collecting, man. Is sometimes you can find some stuff like that. But let's move on, man. Let's find something else to talk about. Um, let's go with the big boys, man. Let's talk about the heart, man. I love the heart, and let me tell you a really cool story about this heart. So I I purchased some Welcome to Wrath Unlimited booster boxes from somewhere over in Europe. I don't know what country. It's all good though. It's all good. And I purchased the case, and the case took about I think a month and a half to come. And when it did, it was shredded. Like it was like somebody like took a knife to it. And I was planning to keep the case long term because I was like, oh well, I'll just keep a case of Welcome to Wrath Unlimited, and I'll keep the whole case full, and we'll see what happens. I'll just keep it like that. And when I saw it shredded, I was like, "Ah, crap!" Like, now the case is open. And then my my mindset is like, I was fiending. I was like, "Oh, the case is open," and not only the case was open, but boxes were literally slashed. Like two boxes were slashed. Was someone in the thing where they import boxes over? They took the razor and opened just to see it wasn't like drugs or anything, but. I reach out to the seller and I say, "Look, man, can you give me like $50? Like, I just want some kind of compensation because I ordered a sealed case and it arrived to me not sealed and the box slashed." And that's the thing. As a buyer, if I'm buying something as one thing as a sealed case and it's not a sealed case, I'm just gonna reach out. And I was very polite, very nice, and the seller was kind of like, "Hey, look, that's how it is. Take it or leave it. You have it. All sales are final." I was like, okay, I thought he could do something. Anyway, long story short, I was gonna keep the case sealed, but because this whole fiasco happened, I started fiending, opened the case, and I got a Heart of Fandale. And I was like, well, I guess everything worked out for a reason. There's no legendaries in the case, just the heart, but that's that. Hey, that's all that matters. I was like, you know what? Okay, that kind of worked out all well in the end. And that shows you sometimes in life things don't seem like they are working out in the moment, but sometimes things pan out for the better. You just have to see how it all plans out. Sometimes not. Sometimes you get fucked, but for me, I got lucky. I have two Hearts of Fandale. One I caved and I purchased for like $450 or maybe $500. It was a good amount of money that I don't usually spend on a card, but I wanted a heart. And of course, guys, this is unlimited. This is not like a cold foil card. So these are trending around, I don't know, 600, 700 now. Probably higher, much higher in the future. But it's just the heart, man. And honestly, I like the rainbow foiling better than the cold foil. I've said this many times. Of course, I know the cold foil is more rare than rainbow foil. I personally, I think visually, the rainbow foil looks cool. It pops, it just looks nice. But yeah, no, I have two Hearts of Fandale, and I have one Eye of Ophidia currently. Um, in the future, I don't think I've ever told anyone this, but I want to have one of each unlimited Fable card. I think that'd be really cool. And the thing is, that's obtainable. I mean, you can buy a bunch of unlimited booster boxes when they come out, and you might have a good chance of getting one. or you could buy them on the secondary market by trade, or you can trade somebody. I feel like unlimited Fable cards are a lot more obtainable, and I really would like to see in like 5 or 6 years if I have like one of each unlimited Fable card. That'd be really cool, man. So that's something else I'm collecting. Very uh very happy about that. And let's see. Oh, it's weird. I got like a shred of something. I don't know what this is. Yeah, I think a really good friend of mine gave me this piece of shredding. Uh, he's a good guy, and he just felt like being a nice guy and just give me a piece of shred of a card. I thought that was it's pretty cool. I know a lot of people don't listen to this late, but hey, let's look at this. Let's look at this. Let's stop talking about that. This is a cold foil hero card. Cold foil hero cards are interesting to me. I got Azalea for the skirmish events, and I got this in one of the drawings. I was very happy. I tend, and what's cool too is Channel Fireball gave these out, and they put it in the magnetic case, and it was like, ooh, I've never gotten a magnetic case before, and I kept the seal on it and everything, man. If you get one of these, I would just keep everything like it is. I mean, even keep the freaking thing that CFB gives you with the packaging or something if you're gonna sell it later. Because I mean, these are going for around like 800, 900, $1,000. It's crazy. And what scares me about, let me tell you what scares me about this as a collector. I don't usually buy things that are this expensive. And and another thing is I don't know how many of these things exist out there in the wild. I mean, the date on the bottom is 2019 and I got this in 2021. So, they had these printed for a bit and they didn't give these out as prize support until like late 2020 or actually really in early 2021. So, that's a little bit over a year that this card was made and then it was given out as prize support. Now, it was given out as prize support earlier on in 2020, but not in the skirmish events. And people have speculated a lot with the cold foil hero cards of there's only 400, there's only 500, there's X amount. Nobody fucking knows. And if you do, then you have insider information. And please hit me up, Bronsonsblood at yahoo.com. But other than that, yeah, no, I'm happy about this in my collection. It's one of the more rare cards that I own. Definitely will probably trade this for a Bravo code foil eventually. Hopefully, we'll see what happens there. Um, Other than that, let's go to more stuff. This is it's really silly, but Mitch from Midtown Merchant sent me this. I'm a big supporter of Mitch from Midtown Merchant. He's a really nice guy, man, and I'm not affiliated with him at all. And just he sent this with a package of random stuff, and I just kept it. He put a Sharpie and said, "Hey, thanks for the support, Mitch." And I don't know, just kept it with everything else in my box. Thought it was pretty cool. Um, Wrapping up here, I think the only other thing I want to talk about is Edge of Autumn. So, Edge of Autumn from the Ira Welcome decks. I purchased a bunch of singles a while back because I don't know why it's not more desired. I don't know why people don't really like this as a collector because it has the gold border that's only meant for legendary cards. And on the Flesh and Blood TCG site, they said, "Hey, this was a mistake. We accidentally put this on the Edge of Autumn from the Ira deck, but then afterwards we said, okay, gold border is only for legendary cards." So because of that, I think that this card is really cool as a collector because there's only 1 out of 45 or one out of 45,000 for how many Ira decks? I believe it's 45,000 Ira decks. So there's only 45,000 of these Edge of Autumns ever in existence that have this gold bordering. And you could justify this as both ways. It's a Bronson. This is a common card. It's no big deal. It's part of the Ira deck, so the price of this would have to coincide with the Ira decks. And that is a good point. And if this card does spike, then maybe the Ira decks will spike in tangent. Another thing to note too is Louis, cool guy, Louis from Kitchen Table TCG. He talked about the Edge of Autumn back, I think 2 months ago. I think 2 months ago is a good time frame. And at the time, I was buying these. And when he made a video about this card, the price of these cards went from like, I don't know, $6 to some crazy amount. Like, I think it went to like $50. Like, that was the only like listings that were on TCG Player at the time. I don't know if there were any sold listings for those, but someone like literally bought them out like right after or right before he made his video about the Edge of Autumn. And I'm not saying anything, good or bad from that. I'm sure I've had an effect on the secondary market too. It's just something to note too, that no matter how big or small you are on YouTube or anywhere, man, you have an effect. You have an effect on the secondary market. That's another rant. I'm just saying that what is it? Yeah, I think it'll happen again, honestly. I mean, not investment advice, but it's just a really cool card. And it's Ira, man. Ira has the Edge of Autumn. And if you look at the backstory of Flesh and Blood, right? And you hear about the Edge of Autumn and how Ira's grown up in this freaking temple and she was a freaking ninja and she saw this Edge of Autumn sword and she wanted it for a very long time, and then bad shit happened, and then she took the sword and started swinging it, and it's just a really cool really cool vibe. And if you want to hear that story a lot more articulated, please check out Kale from Dead Summer Art. He's a really cool guy, and yeah, I'm just plugging everyone today. But honestly, he says it's so much better than I. And it's like Mistress Aikairu is the original person of the sword, and she's like a badass, and she planted a tree and all this stuff. Anyway, I know I'm. This is why I don't make lore videos, guys. One other thing though, and I can't believe I forgot it this far, is this. This is one of the coolest collections that I have, I think, and I really look forward to collecting this going forward, and I hope I can. I hope the cards in this do not get too expensive, man, because it would just make me very sad. And that is the LGS promos. Now, if you go to the Flesh and Blood TCG site, you're going to see the promo section under the Collector Center. And I'll take these out, but I'm going to be very careful. Now, um, just to give you an example, Romping Club, the cold foil, is one of them. Now, the cold foils are pretty expensive already. You can't really see anything. My camera's kind of shit. But long story short, I have, you know, all 8 of the cold foil LGS promos. And what I mean is at the very bottom of the card, you will see the word LGS. And that's what it is. And try to get a better glimpse here. Nope, it's not working with me. But at the bottom of the card, there's the word LGS. And there's about, I think, 40 of these year to date. And I just love them. I think it's a really cool thing because initially, the cold foil cards here were worth like, I don't know, $20 to $40. So, I picked up all 8. But then other than that, man, like a lot of the original LGS promos are selling for like $5 a pop. And I know it gets expensive after you buy a bunch of these things, but this is a really cool type of thing. Because another thing I do in Flesh and Blood as a collector is I collect sets. I have a near complete set of Volcans to Wrath, near complete set of Arcane Rising First Edition. I don't have the cold foils of those. I just have the basic cards from common to majestic complete set, and I think that's really cool because at the end of the day you have a binder and you can look through it. If you're having an off day and you just want to look at beautiful cards, you can just I open the binder, look at all the beautiful cards. It's awesome. Same with this, man. And I definitely think I want a binder for this eventually. I think that at the rate that the LGS promos are going, I'm gonna need a bigger box. I'm probably gonna need a binder for all this stuff, but up until this point, I just really like collecting all these cards. And something to note too is the Ray of Hope and Eclipse Existence that were the promos for Monarch. Those are LGS promos too, which is kind of cool. And you can definitely see that each class has a type of promo card. So you'll see like, Dorinthia has Iron Song Response, and then you see Dash has Overloop, and, what have you, vice versa. And I think they're going to do that. It seems like they're going to do that with the Monarch heroes. I've seen a couple of those. I forgot those card names, but I think they come after the Ray of Hope and Eclipse Existence, which are 45 and 44. So, well, yeah, this is a really cool thing to collect. Honestly, if you're thinking about collecting a lot of stuff, I think this is a really cool thing to start collecting because give me a sec. I just dropped some cards, man. Oh fuck, I don't want to. I don't want to ruin these cards. I'm doing a video, but ultimately, man, I got hair on the cards. Get together, Bronson. What are you doing here? This is a quality channel here. Um, ultimately, man, serious talk. You want to have a collection that you're proud of, and I'm proud of this stuff. I look at this shit and I'm like, puts me in my happy place. This is what gets me off in life. And there's one other thing I want to talk about very briefly is there's some things in Flesh and Blood that people aren't going to tell you. Bronson, this is what you need to collect. This is the best. It's gonna come from you exploring Flesh and Blood. It's gonna come from you exploring everything out there and all your options. One of the biggest things that I've collected too, and I've said this in the past. I have a lot of Vulcan's Wrath and Arcane Rising bulk. I have a shit ton because nobody wanted it back in the day. Nobody cared. Honestly, people didn't want it, so they sold it for pennies on the dollar, and I was there to buy it all up because I like bulk. But one thing in the bulk that I've been looking at a lot more recently, and I don't discuss this too much, is the tokens. Why doesn't anyone talk about the fucking tokens? And I know you're like, Bronson, what are you talking about? Tokens? They're printed to oblivion. They're printed mad, insane amounts of tokens. There's thousands and thousands of tokens. Are there? Are there really that many tokens? If you look at TCG Player, go on there right now. While you're watching my video, I don't give a shit. Go to TCG Player. Go to Welcome to Wrath, first edition, go to the token section, and look how many tokens there are. That is a large amount of tokens. You take that number, that big ass number, and you divide it by, you divide the total number of cards of Flesh and Blood, which is around 6.4 million for Welcome to Wrath and Arcane Rising, respectively. You divide it by the number of tokens that there are, the specific types of tokens. Now, if you know, there's, I think, 4 different hero cards young, 4 old, different weapons and what have you. And they mismatched them and created a large amount of different types of cards. So you have Bravo with Dorinthia, Bravo with Reiner, Bravo with Katsu. Each one is a uniquely identified card. And when you look at the unique card for the tokens, it's pretty small. And I like collecting those too. And I don't think I'll make a full video on that. If you're watching 25 minutes or 26 minutes into this video, then you get to hear my ramblings about something that I really think is crazy, and I've purchased a good amount of, and I definitely have my limits of prices. I purchase things, but if things get into crazy amounts, you have to realize that take the total amount of cards out there that you think that they exist and then multiply it by the market price. And if that number is in the 100,000, $200,000 range, there's never a way that you can really make that much impact on the card in a way. And that's how I look at it as a collector too. But I'm able a little bit more, and this is a great example too of me strategizing and trying to figure out different things. And this is where my mind goes all frickin' day. It's just trying to think of different things that I can collect of Flesh and Blood because it comes from passion, comes from love. I've made tons of YouTube content for Flesh and Blood just because I like to, and I like to interact with the community. It's a lot of fun, man. I have a lot of fun doing this. It's all fun. I'm not doing this for any monetary gain, for YouTube purposes. But at the end of the day, it's good to just take a deep breath and look at what you got. And I'm overall really happy with my collection, man. And I don't mean to brag too. I should have said that in the beginning. I hate bragging about stuff. This is just me accumulating things over the last 6 to 7 months, getting into this game from the ground floor. This is hours and hours and hours of research and buying and all this stuff and I don't want people to think that you know oh, Bronson's bragging here. This is the result of a lot of work, but ultimately I'm really happy. And Other people might not really care about this stuff, but it's just really important to me. And as a collector, I like the history of Flesh and Blood because it's just an amazing game, and I just completely fell in love with it for a good amount of time. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video. I know it was rambling a good amount of time, but I just wanted to show you as me, a collector, what different things I'm collecting. Because I know I'm telling you, I'm a collector. I like to collect and all this stuff. But you're like, well, Bronson, I don't see any of your shit. Like, where where is it? And the answer to that is I don't like to brag too much. But I just do want to show you what types of stuff I have and what types of collections you can do. Because a lot of people might not think of, oh, hey, why don't I collect two Iridex and sleeve them? So I have not only a collection, a piece of history, but I have something to play with. Or, oh, I didn't know you could collect all of the tome cards. Or, oh, I didn't know about the Bravo misprint or the different things out here. But ultimately, yeah, that's it, man. Hope you've enjoyed. And yeah, life's pretty short, so just enjoy it. And if you have a big Flesh and Blood collection or any size collection of Flesh and Blood, just as a reminder, man, take a deep breath and chill out with your collection. Look at it, have a nice time with it, because you know we spend a lot of time with all this stuff. It's nice to enjoy this stuff, enjoy the fruits of our labor. So thanks for watching, man. Peace.